Yeah, I and all PS5 Pro gamers are delusional. Yup, totally. Makes sense. 3 months? 3 whole months. I've been trying to build a decent gaming rig, and every time I check, it's the same clown show. MSRP on GPUs. That's not a real number. It's a bedtime story. A myth. Something Nvidia made up to sleep better at night. Like, seriously, how is this even legal? Imagine if Sony dropped the PS5 Pro for $699, and the only ones you could actually find were between $1,300 and $1,800. Oh, and maybe there's one refurbished unit for $950, but psych, it's sold out too. And then you got dudes in the replies going, bro, you're just in the wrong lane. Really, that's your take. Meanwhile, there's a 9070XT pre-built rig going for $4,000. But wait, wanna hear something funny? If we go by MSRP math, I could technically build the same rig for just $1,500. $1,500, 1500. However you want to say it, it's still a joke. And people are out here asking, why wouldn't you just build a PC right now? Like, bro, why would anyone? Oh, just look for secondhand parts. Oh, you're shopping in the wrong places. Nah.
Get that to me.
Even used cards are going above MSRP. Warranty? LOL. What's that? People are like, just grab a 3060 or 4060 for cheap. Okay, and run what exactly? These 8GB cards can't even keep up with base PS5 games. They get dunked on by a $500 console. Try booting up a new game like Indiana Jones on one of those. Spoiler, it won't even launch. But yeah, Sony ponies are the delusional ones. Sure, tell yourself that while paying $1,200 for a card that barely beats last gen. I opened Amazon and Best Buy today, and I immediately regretted it. And for the geniuses who say, you're looking at cards way above the PS5 Pro class. Bro, what card in that class exists at $700 right now? Show me one, new or secondhand. I'll wait. You can't, because you won't. And that's the damn point.
And this is something that's been happening to every single generation. It's like an shitification or a shrinkflation type thing, where every generation has just been getting worse and worse versus the previous one. And I'm just wondering at this point, like, what are we building to? Are we building towards like something better, or is it just gonna stagnate and just stay the same forever? So if we combine everything at this current state in time, PC gaming feels like a joke. The supply that we've been seeing with these cards just not being available. You can't make an upgrade even if you wanted to. It's way too expensive, and I don't recommend buying a graphics card for months. We'll see if they come back in stock. I don't know, and I'm not really super confident in that. Then there's also the cutting off the old gen. You can't buy the old generation graphics cards, and that makes this really, really hard for everybody. Also, games just have an ungodly level of demand. I think a lot of developers were expecting GPUs and systems to be faster than they were at this point in time, but now we're getting games like Monster Hunter Wilds that is just stupid demanding. But it's also demanding on the CPU too, so maybe it's not just the GPU side of things here. So PC gaming feels miserable at the moment, at least on the graphics card side, which does get me a little bit hopeful because a lot of the other sides of PC game is still quite good. Like the CPU side of things,
PC gaming kinda sucks right now. Just look at the games dropping lately. Monster Hunter Wilds. How does this thing run like trash when half the game is set in a damn desert? You move into more detailed areas, and guess what? It gets worse. Then there's Black Myth. This game looks amazing, but let's be real. It does not need to be this demanding. You're telling me they couldn't bake the lighting and optimize better? Come on, and don't even get me started on Indiana Jones. It's literally the first game that requires ray tracing to even function. You bump up settings just a bit, and boom, the game tanks your GPU like it owes it money. Alan Wake 2 doesn't even need ray tracing to destroy your frame rate. It just does it anyway. Across the board, PC ports, garbage, console, versions, also garbage. All right, let's talk about the other half of this disaster. Graphics cards. You want to upgrade? Good luck. Try finding a new gen card at a fair price. Actually, try finding one at all. You look up something like the RTX 5090 on PC part picker, and it's just a sea of out of stock. Scalpers got there first, again. Cool, maybe you think, okay, screw it, I'll get a 5080. Bad idea. It's also overpriced to hell, sitting around $1,800. That's almost $2,000 for for a card that was supposed to be a high-end option, not some luxury yacht. It's insane. And no, going backwards doesn't help either. The 4080, barely cheaper. The 4070, supposed to be $550, actually going for over $700. Even the budget tier 4060 Ti, which is a glorified paperweight at this point, can barely be found at MSRP. Why? Because they can. There's no real competition right now, so Nvidia just sets prices like they're rolling dice, and everyone loses. They drip out supply, and because people are desperate, they get away with charging whatever they want. But you know what's worse than the price? The actual performance. Because sure, we can rant all day about the cost, but once you get past that, the cards just don't deliver. So let's dig into the so-called mid-range, the 70 class cards. You remember when the 70 cards used to be the sweet spot, right? Like the RTX 2070 beat the legendary 1080 Ti in most games. The 3070 went head-to-head with the 2080 Ti. You'd wait a gen, save some cash, and get last-gen flagship performance. Easy win. But now, we get the RTX 5070 Ti, and man, what happened? First of all, it's $750 MSRP, which is already pushing it. And in reality, you're seeing prices like $800, $900, even $1,000 depending on the brand and cooler. That's not mid-range. That's full-on upper-tier territory without the upper-tier performance. You'd think at that price it'd smoke the 4090, or at least be in the same league. Nope, the 5070 Ti gets bodied in game after game. Alan Wake 2, the 4090 is 46% faster. Cyberpunk, 34% faster. Black Myth Wukong, 39% faster. The Last of Us Part 1, 41% faster. The 4090 is generationally ahead. It makes the 5070 Ti look like a sidekick trying to box a heavyweight champ. And when Nvidia tries to hype it up by comparing it to the 4070 Ti, yeah, the same 4070 Ti that was universally roasted for being overpriced and underwhelming. That's the bar now. That's the flex. They're basically saying, hey, it's not total trash. It's better than the thing everyone hated last year. Cool. Very inspiring. So Nvidia wants us to believe the 5070 Ti is a step forward, a fresh start. But when you stack it up against the 4070 Ti Super, and I mean really compare them, you start asking one simple question. Why does this card even exist? The performance uplift? 7% on average. That's it. That's what you're paying hundreds more for. In some games, the difference is so small, it falls into margin of error territory. Like, is this faster, or did the wind blow different during the benchmark? Levels of small. Sure, there are a couple games where the 5070 Ti pulls ahead. Space Marine 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, cool. But then, you get Remnant 2, Black Myth, Alan Wake 2, and it's either neck and neck or worse. And remember, the 4070 Ti Super already exists. It already fixed the mistakes of the original 4070 Ti. More VRAM, better power efficiency, more stable performance. And now, the 5070 Ti drops in and just barely squeaks by it. It's like calling a car new and improved because you put a fresh air freshener in it. Congrats! It smells like lemon now. Still drives like ass. Games that look mid but need NASA-level power. You'd think if a game destroys your GPU, at least it would look like real life. Nah, a bunch of these games look like they belong on a PS4, yet need a rig straight from NASA. Take Cities. Skylines 2. A city builder runs worse than Cyberpunk with path tracing turned on. Wild. Or go back to Monster Hunter Wilds again. It's not even that graphically crazy, but your GPU will be screaming for help within 10 minutes. The performance to visual ratio just makes no sense anymore. Ray tracing and path tracing were supposed to be the future. Instead, they're a joke. Like, yeah, it looks pretty, but at what cost? Black Myth with ray tracing on. Good luck hitting 60 FPS at 1080p, even with a top-tier card. And Cyberpunk's path tracing mode. Even the RTX 4090 struggles at 4K. We're talking sub-30 FPS. That's not a feature. That's a self-destruct button. And Portal RTX? At 1440p, it hits 50-ish FPS on a 4090. At 4K, barely playable. These features are more like stress tests than gameplay enhancements. MSRP is like a unicorn. Everyone talks about it, but no one's actually seen it. GPU pricing right now makes no sense, and it's pushing people out of the hobby entirely. Mid-range is just a lie. You know how 70-class GPUs used to be the best value? Not anymore. The 5070 Ti is barely better than the 4070 Ti. why. Gamers Nexus literally called it stagnation. We're paying more for almost the same performance. It's like ordering a brand new burger just to realize it's the same one from last year, just in different packaging. There is no entry level anymore. Like, you can't build a $600 PC in 2025 and expect it to run anything current. It's either go broke or go home. RTX 3050 and 4060 cards don't cut it. Even AMD's budget options barely scrape by. We're in a market where a budget build costs $1,200 and still struggles with modern games. If you're not dropping stacks, you're not playing. So what about buying used? Yeah, good luck. It's a gamble. Maybe you'll get a great deal. Maybe you'll end up with a fried X Minor card. No warranty, no guarantees. You're basically buying a ticking time bomb. Even cards that technically still have warranty often don't transfer ownership, so you're rolling the dice every time. It's like buying a used car from a sketchy Craigslist ad. Possible win, but more likely a loss. People are frustrated, and rightfully so. Comment sections are full of folks saying stuff like, "I work 3 jobs and still can't afford a GPU." That's not okay. And when even the high-end cards are struggling to run games properly, it kills the fun. People are spending more time tweaking settings and troubleshooting than actually playing games. It's exhausting, and it's killing the vibe. At this point, it's funny in a sad way. We joke about Unicorn MSRPs and call GPU launches Fire Festival 2.0 because we're tired. The reality is, PC gaming feels like it's in a rut. Performance isn't scaling with price. Games aren't optimized. And the joy of building and playing on PC, it's fading. Something needs to change, badly. So yeah, PC gaming in 2025, it kinda sucks. We're all just hoping it gets better.
And this is something that's been happening to every single generation. It's like an shitification or a shrinkflation type thing, where every generation has just been getting worse and worse versus the previous one. And I'm just wondering at this point, like, what are we building to? Are we building towards like something better, or is it just gonna stagnate and just stay the same forever? So if we combine everything at this current state in time, PC gaming feels like a joke. The supply that we've been seeing with these cards just not being available. You can't make an upgrade even if you wanted to. It's way too expensive, and I don't recommend buying a graphics card for months. We'll see if they come back in stock. I don't know, and I'm not really super confident in that. Then there's also the cutting off the old gen. You can't buy the old generation graphics cards, and that makes this really, really hard for everybody. Also, games just have an ungodly level of demand. I think a lot of developers were expecting GPUs and systems to be faster than they were at this point in time, but now we're getting games like Monster Hunter Wilds that is just stupid demanding. But it's also demanding on the CPU too, so maybe it's not just the GPU side of things here. So PC gaming feels miserable at the moment, at least on the graphics card side, which does get me a little bit hopeful because a lot of the other sides of PC game is still quite good. Like the CPU side of things, pretty good. Storage prices, you can now get a really fast SSD. You can get like a 4TB one for like $200. That's a lot of storage. Or you can get like a 1TB one for like, less than $80 or something. So like those are really nice. Also, RAM prices have gone down a lot. You don't need to cut off and sell your finger to buy a freaking RAM stick. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. Also, cases have been looking pretty cool lately as well. And there's still some really nice budget options. A lot of the other parts of PC gaming is still pretty good, but the actual act of playing games on PC, kind of the point of PC gaming, well, that part of it sucks because GPUs suck on price and performance. Games are really hard to run. And those are the bulk of what makes up your graphics and your gaming performance. And to me, it's also a shame of how great a lot of games have been lately. There's been like a revitalization of good games, especially I'm looking at like Stalker 2, Monster Hunter Wilds. You see these guys and they're just so hard to run that I think it spoils the experience for a lot of people. It's really hard to get good performance out of these games. They should be a great experience. They're really good games.